Algebra 2, Lesson 519, the quadratic formula. Very important. If you have a quadratic equation, something with x squared, something with x, you might see a constant equal to 0. This formula right here, x equals opposite b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a, will always get you your solutions. Let's take a look and see how this is going to work out. Whatever's in front of your x squared is your a. Whatever is in front of your x is your b. The constant is c. You must check that you have 0, though. If you don't have 0, you've got to move terms over. Well, I'm going to write over here that a is equal to 4, b is equal to -9, and c is equal to 3. And we're going to go ahead and use this formula here. Opposite b, well, x is going to equal the opposite of, well, our b is -9. I'll say plus or minus the square root of, well, whenever you square something, put that in parentheses. We'll have -9 squared minus a 4. Now my a is also a 4. My c is a 3. And then I'm going to divide by 2 times a. That's 2 times 4. As we work this out, let me just continue working off to the side here. -9 becomes a +9. Inside the square root, -9 squared is really 81. And 4 times 4 is 16. 16 times 3, we could work out very quickly, is in fact 48. Now 81 minus 48, in fact, you can definitely feel free to also use a calculator should you like. You could get help from all of that. Even if you're having trouble squaring things, you could see it's very clearly 33. So 81 minus 48, you're going to have a 33 in here. 2 times 4 is an 8. 33 is not going to be reducible. And what you can do to put this into Alg2, into our program, is realize the plus or the minus here are two different answers. You're going to say 9 plus radical 33 all over 8, and we're going to type that into Alg2. We'll make one fraction, make the fraction tool, type 9 plus radical 33, divide that by 8, then we'll hit comma. Now you might think you have to retype this, but do an electronic cut and paste, or copy and paste I should say. Copy this thing you just typed out, paste it in, it will look exactly the same, just change the plus to a minus. It's a time saver. Alg2 will allow you to type in one whole fraction as your solution. There are two answers, and they look like this. The problem for number 2, you can see that you're going to have to answer to the nearest hundredth. Your a will be a 1, your b will be a 3, your c will be a -5. And this is where we don't just give an exact answer with algebra, analytically like we just did right here. We're going to have to get a decimal approximation. So I'll tell you what, we're going to get our calculator out. And let me bring this down just a little bit. And I'm going to store 1. I hit 1, then I hit this arrow right next to it. And I'll hit alpha A, hit enter, hit 3, hit store, then do alpha B, hit enter. Then we'll hit -5, hit store, and then we'll do alpha C. What I've just done is I've told the calculator to remember my A, B, and C, but super importantly, our formula, the quadratic formula, is going to be what you see up above just a little bit. And unfortunately, our program just got a little bit frozen. I'll bring that back up. It's right here, what we just circled at the top, at a little technology glitch. So I want to make the calculator display the quadratic formula. I've got that side by side. So I'm going to go alpha y equals, make a fraction show up. I'm going to say opposite of alpha b. I can't do a plus or minus, I'll just do a plus. Now I'll say second x squared to make a square root show up. I'll hit alpha b, hit squared, go minus 4 alpha a, alpha c, and then down below we'll have 2a. The reason why I scrolled up at the top, right up here, you can see my cursor going over it. Just wanted to show the quadratic formula, pardon me. And you can see that's what we've typed in right here. To 2 decimal places, we've got 1.19. So I'm going to write that down here. We've got 1.19. But there's a second answer. We're going to have opposite b minus this as well. Now right now you might be nervous and you can think, oh no, I got to retype all that out. But second enter will bring back what you just typed. And then I'm just going to back arrow until I get right over the plus. I'm going to change that to a minus. You could even hit enter right now. You don't have to move all the way to the end. But you can see what I just did. I saved a lot of time. That's negative 4.19 for my other answer. 2 solutions, and we can get that pretty quickly. How do we know when we have to use the calculator like that? They're telling you to go to the nearest hundredth. One more, and this problem is way different. We're changing it from what's in the notes. Students have noticed when they were working on ALEX, sometimes they were having problems like this. Now, I do want to point out to you the very, very big difference that we see here. The right side's not 0. And that's a preliminary step. I'm going to add a 5 to both sides so that I do have a 0. So I'll have 3x squared plus, really here's a 1x, and then I'll have a plus 5. What does that mean? It means that my a is 3, my b is a 1, my c is a 5. And now I'm just going to work out the quadratic formula. I'm not using a calculator to store things now. They didn't say go to the nearest hundredth. You might guess that we're going to have imaginaries here. We're going to say opposite of b, we'll say negative 1. You could always put parentheses, even if it's a positive when you're squaring something. You could say 1 squared minus a 4 times a 3 times a 5. Down below, I'm going to say 2 times 3. And inside here, 1 squared is a 1, 4 times 3 is 12, 12 times 5 is 60. And we can really see that we've got a negative 59 inside. 1 minus 60 is negative 59. Now, if I were to recopy that, I hope we remember that whenever we see a negative in here, we take out an I. Now 59 is actually a prime number, and we're not going to be able to break that down. In ALEX, you'd make one fraction. You'd say negative 1 plus. There'll be a button where you can select an I. You'd say I radical 59 all over 6. Do an electronic copy and paste. After you've typed that in, copy it, paste it, but change the plus in the middle. You'll just have to backtrack, change that to a minus, and then you've got your 2 answers. Your 2 answers would be right here.